But first, we're ready now, right now, paying the price for being in denial and thinking, yeah, well, great, we can just get rid of coal-fired power stations like this one in Lithgow and no worries, we just switch to wind power or solar power. We're told they're cheaper anyway. Or how about hydrogen, the new fuel of the future? Honestly, listening to those kinds of, don't worry. I'm watching Australia over the past 20 years getting rid of a third of its coal generators. I tell you what, the whole thing has been like watching lemmings go over a cliff. Well, the Australian energy market operators just said, whoops, sorry about that. Wholesale prices of electricity in the East Coast more than doubled in the first 3 months of the year. Way more. More cost of living pain for you. Now, of course, there are excuses. There's a war in Ukraine, of course. There's soaring prices for coal and gas. There's higher demand. Some unexpected outages of power plants and so on. But basically, we just didn't have enough power supply. Wind and solar could not make up the difference. In fact, the shortage was so bad, for the first time, the energy market operator actually used its new scheme to pay big industries not to use electricity when it was running short. Imagine that. Your money is now paid to business to stop working so the power doesn't go out. And that happened in the states that rely most on wind power, Victoria and South Australia. Paying people, even business now, not to work? What's our future going to be like? And it's going to get worse, At the end of last month, the giant Liddell coal-fired generator in New South Wales shut down one of its turbines, and it's going to close the rest over the next year. The media left loved this news, Wow, wasn't it great? This turbine switch off is like taking 400,000 cars off the road. And don't you worry, there's going to be grid-scale battery and hydrogen projects soon to step in. But they aren't there yet, are they? What huge batteries? And hydrogen hasn't even been proved yet to work at scale. And so predictable, check what's happened to wholesale power prices in New South Wales in the 3 weeks since that turbine was shut and stopped making electricity. Through the roof. Where's that wind? Where's that solar? And you wonder what's going to happen when the rest of that plant shuts down. And other plants shut down in Victoria that are also scheduled early closure. The fact is that this transition to green energy, to allegedly stop global warming, of course, it's like a circus trapeze artist, swinging over, letting go, flying through the air. Oops, no one there to catch him. They're not ready. Still in the dressing room. In fact, they may never come. And we're seeing that in Europe as well. Huge prices there for electricity, even before the Ukraine war. A number of those countries, they got rid of coal-fired power. They got rid of fracking. Germany got rid of nuclear power. But where on earth did they think their electricity was going to come from? Solar's nice, but not when it's dark or cloudy, and wind is also lovely, but not when the wind doesn't blow, as we saw in Europe, a wind drought. And relying on Russian gas, well, that's just now blood money for Russia to buy more tanks. And now all the global warming extremists, pushed us this kind of shortage, this soaring prices and all that, and saying, well, how about you check Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews for one? Daniel Andrews made it so clear that coal had no future in Victoria that the huge Hazelwood power station there closed 6 years ago. And other big generators will soon close too. But don't you worry, Premier Dan's now got you covered. He's promising today to hand out $250 to every single household in Victoria to help pay their soaring power bills. A $250 million handout in the state with already the biggest debt in the country. So, where's all this money for all this green dreaming going to come from? Money to pay factories to actually shut? Money to pay for your rising power bills? Money for subsidising new wind farms and paying for all the wires to connect them all? 20 billion, 30 billion, Labor's promised that. And just yesterday, by the way, Another $500 million promised by Labor to build enough electric car recharging stations so that richer Australians can drive their Lexus a little bit further. Aren't we pleased for them? And the difference that all this makes to the world's temperature? After all, that's what this is all about. Well, I'll tell you. It's the big donut. Nothing. So how delusional really we are. With Labor now pushing for more of the same. The Liberals too, the Greens, and the climate independents telling us, of course, this won't cost. As if.